long before the world had borders, before the idea of nations, before the very first language or fire, Earth was a dangerous and untamed wilderness. There were no buildings, no smartphones, no electricity. The air was thick with the scent of wet soil and fear. Forests stretched endlessly, volcanoes erupted without warning, and gigantic beasts roamed freely. This was not a world made for humans, because humans didn't exist yet. Let's go back in time, not 100 years, not 1,000, but millions of years. Back to an era when life on Earth was raw, ruthless, and incredibly fragile. Our story doesn't begin with Homo sapiens, our modern species. It begins long before, with the early primate creatures that lived in the treetops of ancient Africa, leaping from branch to branch, far from the ground where danger waited. Roughly 7 million years ago, some of these primates began to walk on two legs. This small but crucial shift would change everything. These early ancestors like Sahelanthropus chadensis, Ardipithecus, and later Australopithecus weren't fully human, but they were no longer just apes either. They were something in between, something new. They stood upright. They used their hands. They adapted to life on the ground, and that made them vulnerable. Predators watched them. The weather beat them. Their bodies were weak. Their minds still developing. So how did they survive? The early hominins weren't strong. They didn't have sharp claws. They couldn't outrun cheetahs or fight off lions. But they had one thing that no other creature had: the power to learn, slowly, over hundreds of thousands of years. Their brains grew. With each generation, memory improved. They began to recognize patterns, which plants were safe to eat, which trails led to danger, which sounds meant predators nearby, and most importantly, they began to think ahead. This was the beginning of human intelligence. By around 0.5 million years ago, a new species emerged, Homo habilis, often called the handy man. He wasn't just walking upright. He was crafting tools. It started with something simple, a broken rock with a sharp edge, used to scrape meat from bone, used to dig roots from the ground. At first, these tools were crude, but they worked, and with time, the tools became sharper, more precise. Homo habilis passed these skills to the next generation, and each group improved on the work of the last. Tools meant survival. Tools meant a second chance at life when bare hands weren't enough. Now imagine trying to survive in a world where saber-toothed cats could hunt you in the night, where you didn't know if the next plant you ate would nourish you or kill you, where rainstorms flooded entire valleys and volcanoes reshaped the land. This was the world of early humans, and every day was a test. Not a test of strength, but of adaptability. They didn't dominate the world with brute force. They outsmarted it. They learned to move in groups. They shared food. They warned each other of threats. They looked after the sick, and the old community became survival. And survival created something deeper: trust, loyalty, connection. Chapter 5. The rise of Homo erectus. Around 1.9 million years ago, another major leap in evolution took place. Homo erectus, the upright man, appeared, taller, smarter, faster. He began to migrate, moving out of Africa and into Asia and Europe. This was humanity's first great journey, crossing mountains, deserts, and unknown terrain. But Homo erectus didn't just walk. He conquered with fire. Yes, this was the species that first learned to control flames. Ours wasn't just warmth. It was power. It cooked food, making it safer and easier to digest. It kept predators away. It lit the darkness. It brought people together. Sitting around a fire, early humans found something profound: the ability to share stories, to imagine, to dream. And this was just the beginning. Coming up in part 2, the discovery of fire in detail, early hunting methods, clothing, shelter, and weather survival, real tribal instincts, and forming early social systems.